Good morning, everybody. Hello, lovelies. Ooh, nice. Sweet hairstyle. Ciao. Ha ha. Cool guy. How are we doing? I made it with seconds to spare. Just kidding, I'm late. Sorry. But what, did you want me to not eat pasta? It is time for a couple hours of Amara's Rose. Looking at it now, looks like we've got eh, two, maybe three more sessions before the book's over. Picross, huh? I haven't thought about Picross in a long time. Can anybody tell me where we last left off? No? Alright, fine. Jerks, I'll tell you. Uh, Rose is kidnapped and being held prisoner by some bad dudes. She's been there for, I believe, 5 days. And we discover now that Ben, the keyholder of Earth, is actually a coolie, as in Victoria Coolie. Oh, did that one not work? That's weird. I think maybe it doesn't like the leading zero. I haven't been able to get it to do 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 either. So, Ben misses seeing Rose get whipped cream on her lips while she guzzles hot chocolate. And he's just hanging out at the police station waiting for them to figure out what's going on. And I believe the girls back home are still trying to figure out a way to make a new key. Let's get started with chapter 27, Phoenix's perspective. Put this somewhere that's comfy. I probably kick back a little bit too. Chapter 27, Phoenix's perspective. I gasp as I raise my head and look at my surroundings. Even from where I lie in the tall grass, I can tell I'm back on Dragon's Ridge, alone. The portal sucked me up, then spit me right back out in the same place. Well, not instantaneously. It's dawn now, so I guess I was in it for a few hours. That's right. The king and Phoenix Sylvia Hanaway, and what was the boy's name? Colin? All went to check to see if the portals were still working correctly. And then Phoenix ended up being the one who volunteered to jump in. I don't know why they feel like this is relevant to test or useful, but that's what they've decided to do. And I think we're discovering now that for the plot's sake, the reason they're doing it is so that they can find out that the portals are in fact not working correctly. Defeat courses through me, and I flop back on the hard ground and stare at the sky. We may never be able to get Rose back. She could be stuck someplace all alone, or stuck in a portal, or worse, stuck somewhere with Lexi. I'm sure it was a portal that took them, but it was obviously working differently than the one I was in last night. I snort to myself. And even that one wasn't working as it should. Who knows where that freak portal took them? Sitting up, I brush the dirt from my hands and look around. The sunrise lights up the ridge. Not a soul is around. No Sylvia, no Colin, no Hanaway, no King. I guess they decided not to wait for me. I wonder if the portal stayed visible the entire time. or if it disappeared as soon as I got in it. Well, that's just one more question I'll ask Sylvia when I see her. My thoughts crash down on me like a tidal wave, sucking me under. Frustrated, I break off a long clump of grass and throw it as far as I can. The fact that it only goes a few feet makes me feel even more helpless. Rose is somewhere, maybe dead, maybe alive, and there's virtually nothing I can do about it. I sit on the ridge and bawl my eyes out, in frustration and in sadness that I'll never see my friend again. After blubbering for a few minutes, I realize how ridiculous I am. I need to get a grip, so I take several deep breaths. I clear my head and wipe the tears off my face with the sleeve of my shirt. Now is the time to march back to the castle, find that notebook, and bring Rose home at any and all costs. Standing up and brushing myself off, I set out at a determined pace down the hill towards the castle. When I get into town, no one is outside in the streets. Alethea is silent, despite the early morning sunlight. Something is wrong. People should be up and about, doing morning chores, opening their shops, or else headed to the castle library. Increasing my pace, I jog the rest of the way to the castle and arrive, out of breath and worried, a few minutes later at the front gates. Dozens of people clog the entry into the palace and the grand foyer, too, I notice once I push my way in. No one pays any attention to me. They're too busy peering under rugs and poking around behind lamps and dumping everything out of the closets. They look like they're searching for something. It must be the notebook. When the doors clang shut behind me, everyone looks up and gasps. I twirl around to see what they're looking at behind me. "Phoenix!" Sylvia shouts, and I whip back around to see her dashing towards me. In a second, she's hugging me and sobbing. "What is going on?" I pat her on the back comfortingly. "Bad news about Rose? Oh, I hope not." Other people in the room are sniffling too and eyeing me with relieved expressions. "Oh, Phoenix, you are back!" The queen rushes over to greet me, relief evident on her face. "I will get someone to let your brother know right away." She leaves, and other people crowd around us after that, exclaiming that it's so good to see me. What is going on? "Yes, I'm back, but I was only gone for a few hours. It really wasn't that big of a deal. Why are they all acting like this? Sylvia tends to overreact to certain things, but why is everyone else being so dramatic?" "You were gone for 2 months?" Sylvia blubbers onto my shoulder. 2 months?" I could not have possibly been gone for that long. I was only in the portal for 5 seconds, 10 at the most. At least, that's what it felt like. But certainly it's only been 6 or 7 hours since we were all up on the ridge together and I jumped into the portal shortly after midnight. "Yes, it really has been 2 months," Sylvia insisted between sniffles. "After you jumped into the portal, you never came out. I was so worried I'd lost you too," she rattles on. "We were all hoping you'd find a way to get back here, and you did. How'd you do it?" She stops suddenly, aware that everyone is listening to her fall apart. But I'm still focused on what she said. 2 months? It can't be. "Sylvia, that is crazy. I was sucked into the portal for only about 5 seconds. Then it spit me back out again. So I did not actually escape it," I clarify. The entire crowd hears my explanation, and their expressions grow sad when I admit that I had not really found my own way out. They were all probably hoping I had escaped and that Rose would too, at some point. "Maybe that is what happened to Rose," Sylvia suggests hopefully, "and it just has not brought her back yet." "But why would she not be back by now if that were the case?" I say, and Sylvia's face falls. The queen notices and frowns at me. Uh-oh, I quickly add, unless, of course, people can be held in limbo for different amounts of time. In that situation, Rose could still be out there." Sylvia's face perks back up. "So, what's been going on since I left?" I ask, changing the subject. "Have you found Ulysses' notebook with information about the key?" Sylvia shakes her head no, and now that my story is over, everyone else, including the queen, goes back to searching. "We have been looking for the notebook room by room," she says, "but so far we've had no luck. We've managed to thoroughly search half the castle by taking apart nearly everything, but we have not got the slightest clue as to where the notebook might be, or even what floor it might be on. I assume King Ulysses did not think we would ever need a new key, or else he did not want people to know a new key could be made." Weird. Wouldn't he want some sort of insurance in case something happened? But maybe he thought nothing ever would happen. So, we're looking in the main hall right now? Yes, we're almost done, I think. I'm not sure. My mother will not help me look for it because it is too similar to cleaning, and as we know, princesses must not get their hands or clothes dirty by cleaning or doing other household chores. Sylvia does quite the impression of her mother's voice. It's spot on. I stifle a laugh. Fortunately, no one but me overhears her. I am sorry, I tell her, knowing how helpless she must be feeling. Let's go to your room and look around there so you can do something. Besides, I doubt you want the entire village digging through your personal stuff later, I suggest. Oh, that is a brilliant idea. No one has searched my room yet, and I can simply tell my mother that you cleaned the entire thing for me while we talked. She will be happy that I actually listened to one of her rules. On the way to her room in the west wing, we walk through a corridor where a painting of mine is hanging on the wall. I smile proudly when I see it. The castle has great statuary and artwork, and I'm happy mine is a part of it. My painting brings the lively colors of a castle ball into the hallway, whereas most of the other paintings have dull colors, although I should pay more attention to them because I can always learn something from the great painters of Amara's past. My gaze roams over every piece of artwork as we walk through the long hallways. Much of it is familiar to me, but not all. Tucked into a dimly lit bend in a hallway, I notice for the first time a slightly dusty, life-sized marble statue of an old man, probably royalty, with what appears to be a benevolent-looking angel sitting on his shoulder and holding a book. Behind the statue is a floor-to-ceiling painting in muted colors, meant to look like a window with a view of one of the palace's many courtyards. It's really quite effective. Amazing what you notice when you actually look. I catch up with Sylvia. The castle has 7 different floors with hundreds of corridors and thousands of rooms. I doubt even Sylvia has been in every room, although the 3 of us got to know sections of it when we used to play hide and seek here. So what do we do first? I ask her once we reach her room. It's not exactly a small area, and it has several alcoves, as well as places where the room juts out over the courtyard below. There's a lot more to Sylvia's bedroom than 4 simple walls. I walk into the center and look around, trying to think of where a small object, such as a notebook, could be hidden. In loose floorboards under the rugs? Behind the paintings hanging on the walls? Inside Sylvia's enormous vanity? Maybe in a hidden drawer or shelf inside her various pieces of furniture? She doesn't appear daunted by the task. Let us search all the nooks and crannies that I do not often use, because I highly doubt it will be hidden someplace I see every day. It is probably concealed behind some sort of trapdoor, or a secret door, maybe, she says enthusiastically and sets off towards the right side of the room. I go to the opposite side. Geez, this bedroom is big enough to house several people. Come to think of it, we've had some grand slumber parties here over the years. I grin at the memories and get to work. Chapter 28, Sylvia's Perspective. Even after 2 hours of pulling up all the rugs to look for trapdoors or loose floorboards and examining the wood trim along the edges of the floor, we still have not found anything, except a few cobwebs and a spider or 2. We have yet to inspect the paintings, however, and all the walls and the furniture, too. There are a lot of potential hiding places. Now I see why it's taking so long to go through the castle. Phoenix stretches and her back cracks loudly. I cringe, disgusted. It drives me absolutely crazy when someone cracks things like their back or their knuckles. It always reminds me of the sound of when I broke my wrist when I was little. Rose says I hate it because I think it is uncivilized and that my inner princess is coming out. I think Rose just enjoys teasing me. So, 2 months and nothing? Phoenix asks, looking at me sadly. My eyes fill with tears and I cannot hold them back. The past few months have seemed completely hopeless. After a few sniffs, I wipe my nose on the handkerchief my mother insists I always carry, but I wish I was brave enough to just use my sleeve. Rose would. I've never felt braver. Phoenix politely ignores me, then changes the subject. So, have you checked for false backs in the dressers and cabinets? Those seem like great hiding spots. I manage to pull myself together. Good idea. We also still have to check all the bricks to see if they move. There could be a cubbyhole behind one of them that holds the notebook, I toss out, even though the idea is actually someone else's. Colin had come up with it partway through our first day of searching, probably in an attempt to keep his mind off of Phoenix's disappearance. And speaking of Colin, he's going to be overjoyed when he hears that Phoenix is back. But I'm not ready to share her yet, so I head to a wall to push on the bricks. This is going to take a lot of work, Phoenix says while methodically pushing on individual bricks on the wall opposite me. Searching the castle would have taken forever without everyone's help, and as it is, you've been doing this every day? That's incredible. I cannot believe I was gone for 2 whole months. She's quiet for a moment, then adds in a lower voice, Oh, by the way, how's Colin? I silently laugh at her crush, not that she would ever admit she has one. I watch her while I reply. He is fine. I am surprised he has not come busting in here already to see you, I say, choosing not to tease Phoenix. Well, at least not that much. She blushes and changes the subject. How have the meetings with your mother been going? I have not been to any, I tell her honestly. How queer. Is your mother letting you off the hook so you can search for the notebook? She asks, her brow furrowed as she pauses between bricks. No, she has simply put this search ahead of her meetings. The other officials are meeting on their own and they keep notes on what they are talking about. That way, she can catch up when she is available to attend the meetings again. Actually, my mother really has been behaving oddly since Rose disappeared, and even more so since Phoenix left through the portal. I shrug and offer the only explanation I've come up with. Besides, no big decisions are being made now due to her absence. Interesting, is her thoughtful response to my long-winded answer. Some people change when bad things happen, I say, reflecting on the changes since I last saw Phoenix. My father, for one, has only left a couple of times for meetings in other parts of Amara, which is a great improvement from before. My mother has stopped her official duties altogether. The townspeople have reduced their own store's business hours to a minimum so they can devote every spare minute to look for the notebook. Only a few people are still running things in the town, making sure the necessities get done. This has been going on for all these weeks, which, when I think about it, is an incredibly long time. It is taking a toll. I'm going to pause here. I didn't notice this up until this point, but she's like completely unwilling to use contractions. Like, I thought maybe it was a character thing, but like never in, like, it is taking it just feels very stilted and weird. Everyone is becoming more stressed and tired, and every day they become a little less motivated. I do not know how long this many people will continue to search. If someone does not find the notebook soon, I fear it will only be me and Colin and Hannaway and now Phoenix who will still search with single-minded determination towards our goal. Although I have to be careful not to let my mother catch me searching. I pause, a new, unwelcome thought crowding out my semi-positive attitude. What if someone found the notebook and took it? Or threw it away so nobody would ever find it? Why someone would do that, I do not know, but it certainly is a possibility. Even if it is not very probable, there is still a chance it happened. Crap. I sit back on my heels and rub my knuckles that are sore from rapping on bricks. As if she can read my mind, Phoenix asks, How long do you think it will take to find it? Without missing a beat, she continues pushing at bricks. I have no idea. I absently watch her while I fill her in on our research efforts while she was gone. We have found out that King Ulysses was supposed to be really smart, so it is probably in some obscure place, like in a wall or something. I've been doing research on him when my parents are around, and I cannot help look for the notebook. I've been hoping to come across some clue about where he hid it, but so far I have had no luck. The books all have the same boring history of his life and what he achieved, which, apparently, was not much, despite him being so smart, I explained to her. Well, he added a lot of artwork to the castle, but he didn't do much for all the other citizens of Amara, so, unfortunately, if we're being really honest with ourselves, it could be a long, long time before we finish searching. Phoenix runs over and hugs me. Sorry, it must have been terrible. First Rose disappears, then me, and you still haven't found the notebook? And I have to tell you, Sylvia, it is a shock, being gone for 2 months, she says apologetically. I mean, it didn't feel like 2 months. It feels like it was just last night. I could swear on my life I saw all of you that recently. She stops hugging me and studies my face with a very worried expression on her own. I am a little concerned about Phoenix. She's usually the optimist, and I am the pessimist, and Rose is whichever one she feels like being that day. I study Phoenix, who now looks confused and exhausted. Here I am telling her about all my issues, and she's trying to cope with the fact that 2 months of her life just disappeared. She sniffs, and it is my turn to pat her back. I know it is hard, Phoenix. I cannot imagine what you have been through. I nudge her toward my bed. You should probably get some sleep. You must be exhausted. She agrees, and, in a matter of seconds, her breathing is regular, and she's asleep. And I return to pushing on bricks. Are you pushing on bricks or rapping on bricks? Also, I guess I didn't mention it while we were dealing with it, but there's a whole lot of weird shit here. First of all, Castle has 7 floors and thousands of rooms. Like, I guess that's hyperbole. Like, thousands of rooms? Thousands of rooms. That's an impossibly big castle, especially since it's like a little small town, except when it's not. Thousands of rooms. That's so many. And also that the entire town has been in the castle every day for the last 2 months trying to find this, like, secret area. Like, I'm not clear on how many people it is, but let's say it's like 100 people, and they've had, 60 days. That's 6,000 rooms they all could have searched, if everyone's searching one room a day, like top to bottom. I also find it annoying that they're pushing on bricks but not doing anything to, like, mark it. They don't mention that they're like, check a brick, mark it with a chalk. Check a brick, mark it with a chalk. There's a lot of weird, very weird, like, logistic inconsistencies here. Uh, Chapter 29, Rose's perspective. Oh, that's right. The kidnappers called the police station and were like, we want such and... I don't remember what they wanted, but then they're like, I need 30 seconds to trace the call. And he's like, damn, we all we were able to do is narrow it down to, like, a 1/4-mile radius in a dense part of the city. Chapter 29, Rose's perspective. My kidnappers hang up the phone on Ben and then eye me speculatively. I stare back at them. Aside from shifting in their chairs occasionally, none of them move or talk. They just look at me and wait. For what? Whatever, I mentally shrug. My message to Ben is going to get me out of here. I know it. My internal tracking system couldn't have been wrong when I met Matilda. I got that feeling of familiarity and warmth that always indicates someone is family, so she must be. If not, I'm screwed. The deafening silence stretches on. I'm not sure what they're doing or what they think about while they stare, but it's making me uncomfortable. I have a hard time not squirming or stupidly leaping up and trying to make a run for it. The same 4 guys are still in the room. The 3 henchmen, Fido, Scarface, and Butch, are seated around the poker table where I am, and the creepy man who I beat up on the first day leans against a nearby wall, his arms folded across his chest, and more than a glimmer of malice in his eyes. He looks a lot angrier now than he did when he followed us through the burned-out section of town. I finally decide to shake things up, and I go about it in the only way I know how, to be loud and annoying. Besides, it's high time I got out of here, and before I can do that, I have a small war to win. You blinked, I win, I shout to all of them, smirking and leaning back in my chair. They continue to stare, although Mr. Follower shakes his head as if he can't believe my behavior. I take it to the next level by addressing him. I'm sorry you didn't win. It truly is unfortunate. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll be going back to my closet, I say, standing up. He motions to Butch, who shoves me back down onto my seat. Oh, rude. I know you're sad about losing, but you don't have to be a bad sport. Why does Mr. Follower not get in my face himself? I look right at him. Scared? His lip curls. Listen here, little girl, he snarls from his safe position on the wall. You'll do exactly what I tell you, when I tell you. Ha! No one pushes me around like that. I keep my face impassive, even though I want to hurt him. Got it? He asked, narrowing his gaze menacingly. I resist the urge to beat the crap out of him. Instead, I quirk an eyebrow. Basically, all the words that come spewing out of your mouth, I'm supposed to listen to them? I can't help my digs sometimes. Sarcasm is the natural defense against stupid, and these men are all clearly very stupid. I've never been in a room with people who have such a collectively low IQ, because any idiot knows that hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, especially this woman. Oh boy. He he straightens, still glaring at me. You will follow all my demands, starting with shutting your trap. Well, I don't really like most of your demands, and you might get farther if you add please and thank you. I lean forward, giving him a big, fake smile. Your tone could be nicer too, and you could just let me return to my closet like I'm sure you are going to do anyway. I mean, I'm just trying to make things more convenient for you. The man opens his mouth to speak, but closes it again. Hopefully he's remembering how I kicked his butt a few days ago. He shifts his weight to his other foot, and his brow wrinkles as if he's thinking. Now that I'm standing up for myself, he backs down. He doesn't seem too anxious to fight. Probably doesn't want to get hit in front of his little henchmen. That would be more than embarrassing for him, although it would be rather entertaining for me. That's probably why he's having Butch get in my face instead of doing it himself. Speaking of the red-haired devil, Butch still has his hand on my chair when he looks inquiringly at Mr. Follower, who nods once. Go back to your closet, Butch snarls and leans toward me, pointing at my door. Sheesh, has he ever heard of a toothbrush? Just to mess with him a bit more, I cross my arms over my chest and lean back in the chair again. Then I put my feet up on the table. You seem to be forgetting a certain magic word in that sentence. Fido leaps out of his chair and I yank my feet off the table, but I'm not fast enough. He grabs my arm, pulls me up, and yells, Now! As rude as he is, I'm impressed. That was actually a fairly decent reaction on his part. He pulls me across the room and throws me back into my closet. I go along for the ride willingly. No need to anger him anymore. Besides, I think I just won this battle. I listen for the lock to click, but it doesn't. Yes! The psychological war is won. Now it's time to launch the final attack. That wasn't the magic word! I shout. No response. No response. I put my ear to the wooden door and listen to the shuffling and muffled words in the other room. They seem to be settling down, so I use the time to make a plan. Since the lock didn't click, I can open the door at any time and escape, and the best time for that will be before dinner. I can't wait until everyone is asleep at night, because when they bring my dinner, they'll undoubtedly relock the door. I won't get that lucky twice. So my only chance is surprise. I've got to burst out at a random and unexpected time and sprint for the door on the opposite side of the room. From there, I have no clue what I'll encounter. I can only hope for the best and run fast. My well-being always seems to rely on me running fast. It's like the universe knows I don't have my full speed right now, and it's laughing at me. I listen through the door, waiting for them to be seated and start playing poker. That way, they'll be distracted and slower to follow me. Even a small lead can make a world of difference. The music resumes, and the four men talk to each other. I give them a few more minutes to relax. And then I'm ready. Now is my only chance. I grasp the doorknob and turn it slowly. I take a deep breath, clearing my head. My reaction time will need to be faster than it's ever been. These men are stronger than me, and while I may be more nimble, That won't help me in such close quarters. This just might be the scariest thing I've ever done. Well, okay, maybe not, but it's pretty high up there on the list. I yank the door open and burst out like a rocket. I sprint as fast as I can through the room and grab the other door handle, praying it opens. It does. I can't believe they didn't. Oh, but they're so stupid that I can believe they didn't lock the outer door. Too bad for them. They should know that nothing ever goes as planned. By the time I'm through the doorway, the men have lumbered to their feet. Footsteps pound after me. I dash down a long hallway and reach the door at the end of it. Yanking on the handle with great force, I rattle it, but it doesn't budge an inch. Shat. It's locked. From the outside. Yes, that's not... it's shat. It says shat. The men are just entering the hallway, and I do a 180, trapped. My brain is whirling faster than it ever has. Time for an impromptu plan B. I usually don't bother with a plan B because if a plan B is needed, it means plan A was never going to work. I like to think my plan A's don't suck, but they really do sometimes. Like now. Stop! Fido's a few steps ahead of the others, and there's not a moment to lose. What are my options? To my right is a large open window with a ledge on the outside. I could probably just about stand on it. I hop out the window with Fido and his henchmen breathing down my neck. The ledge is wide enough for me to scoot along, so I do. Before I've gone more than a couple feet, Fido is leaning out the window and reaching after me. Come back now and we won't hurt you, he says in what's supposed to be a persuasive voice, I'm sure. Cautiously, and with my heart racing, I shuffle my way farther down the ledge. 10 feet away is the metal scaffolding that supports a fire escape ladder. Freedom! Climb out after her! Hurry up! Fido shouts to someone inside. Scarface tries to climb out the window, but he's awkward and slow. My quick sidestepping soon gets me closer to the fire escape, and to another window that opens into the same hallway the men are standing in. Fortunately, the window is closed. Please don't let them get smart and actually go open that window to grab me as I go by. That's internal monologue. I need to distract them, so I resort to my usual method, my sarcastic and always lovely mouthiness. You know, lying isn't an attractive trait, I say conversationally, but even I can hear my voice shake. My foot slips, and I squeak in terror. So far, I've avoided looking down, but my fear gets the best of me, and I succumb to the temptation. 2-story drops and people trying to grab me, combined with a lack of sleep, fresh air, and exercise, do not bode well for controlling my reaction. My stomach knots painfully, and sweat breaks out on my forehead. To distract myself from the great distance down to the cement sidewalk, and to distract the bad guys from realizing there's another window they can reach me through, I resume my one-sided conversation. People tend not to appreciate liars all that much, I tell them, trying to focus on nimbly moving my feet more than an inch or two at a time. Scarface has given up trying to climb out on the ledge. Fido pokes his head out now, glances toward me, and notices the window, then withdraws and shouts to his buddies, Open that window farther down the hall! Quick, before she gets to the fire escape! Damn it, Fido isn't as stupid as I wanted to give him credit for. I look up and down the street, but no one's around. No point in screaming for help. I try to quicken my pace without falling off. Unfortunately, I'm edging past the window when I hear it creak open. No way in hell are they capturing me again. To prevent that, I do the stupidest thing I have ever done in my life. I jump. Doop doop doo, smoke break. Do I have a pen in here? No, alright. Be right back. All right. Things are really heating up. What's going to happen? We're going to have a pretty good, better chunk of the way through this tonight than I thought. This honestly could be the second to last Amara's Rose, which means we're going to have to start another book. Should we do Rise of the Heroes? That would be fun. Chapter 30, Ben's Perspective. My impatience to see if Mr. Sanders is Rose's dad or not is making the walk to the Sanders' house feel as though it takes forever, even though Mrs. Sanders and I walk at a brisk pace. Finally, we're here. I nervously follow her up the brick steps to her tall, narrow home that looks exactly like the others, crowding it on both sides. I wet my lips, and my mouth suddenly goes dry. I have no idea what's about to happen. She opens the front door and calls, "Honey, there's someone here to see you." "Who's here?" comes a voice from what I assume is the living room. A man rounds the corner into the main entryway. Rose's father. This is him. Mrs. Sanders was right. There's a resemblance between him and Rose, and though it's not based on looks... What? How do you have a resemblance that's not... What? He has short brown hair, dull green eyes, and is thickly built, not to mention tall. How Rose ended up being so short with this man as her dad, I will never know. But instead of physical features that mark them as father and daughter, it's the resemblance in the way they hold themselves. Shoulders back, confident expressions, and an air about them that suggests you should think twice before messing with them. And when he lifts his brows inquiringly at me, it's the same expression Rose wears when she drills me for information. Rose is right. This has to be her dad. If it isn't, and she and I are both wrong, then he at least has to be related to her in some way, shape, or form. I step forward and extend my hand. "Hi, I'm Ben Cooley. I'm here about a recent abduction that happened in the diner where your wife works." I chose to leave out that the person who got abducted is probably his daughter. I glance at Mrs. Sanders, but she remains quiet, studying her husband anxiously. He nods and shakes my hand. "Oh, yes, Matilda told me about that. Come in and sit down," he says, motioning beyond him to a little living room at the end of the hallway. "And I'm David Sanders, by the way." His voice is low and rough, though friendly enough. I take the single brown leather chair. Mr. and Mrs. Sanders sit together on the slightly worn couch. Taking a deep breath, I speak. "Sir, I think my friend Rose." "Yes, tell me about your friend Rose, and then what happened to her," he says warily. He has clearly heard about Rose, and that she's the person who is missing. His wife must have told him, but he is also wondering if my Rose is his Rose? He leans forward in his seat. He has to wonder, otherwise he wouldn't be so interested. Do his Amarian mental powers help him sense a family member is nearby? I clear my throat. "Well, first, I need to tell you the message she gave me because I assume it confirms whether or not you are actually her dad, and then I can tell you the entire story. I have to be 100% positive he's her dad before I can tell him anything about what's happened." Mr. Sanders doesn't even flinch when I use the word dad, although his expression turns sad. "She probably said, 'Tell my dad, David Sanders, that his Rosie Posey says hey.'" I freeze. How? I have to open and close my mouth a few times before I can string words together. That's almost exactly what she said." How did he know that? Maybe they have a secret code or something for times like this? I lean back, still astonished. "So, then, I can assume you're her father?" He looks apologetically at an astonished Matilda and reaches out to squeeze her hand. "I used to be. A long time ago," he says mournfully. His use of past tense is alarming. "What do you mean, you used to be?" Rose never mentioned her dad didn't live with her. Actually, Rose never mentioned anything about her family, or even very much about her life back on Amara. Sadness fills his green eyes. "Things happen." He clears his throat. "Tell me your and Rose's story." I don't seem to have much choice. There's a lot I don't know, and I don't know if I should tell him what I do know. My mind races from one scenario to another, but I always come back to the bottom line. Rose wanted me to contact him, and this might be my only chance of finding her. I sit up straight and let the words pour out. Well, it started a few days ago when I first met Rose in a burned-down neighborhood here in the city. A long discussion and a few threats later, Mr. Sanders smiles at this, she decided to trust me enough to let me help her solve her problem. And we're both gatekeepers. I assume you know what those are. I'm the one from Earth, and she's the one from Amara, your home planet. Mrs. Sanders gasps and pales, but I'm the only one who notices. Mr. Sanders is staring at me intently. Rose, she's a gatekeeper now? His eyes mist. I'm taken aback. How long has it been since he's last been home to see his daughter? I glance at Mrs. Sanders. She's wide-eyed, but she shakily pats her husband's hand as he nods at me to continue. How come she came to Earth? Her husband asks abruptly. Well, sir, I don't know. Your daughter has somehow ended up on Earth with no way to return home. She's not even sure how she got here, although we both suspect it was a malfunctioning portal of some kind. An odd look flashes across Mr. Sanders' face. Anger? Anger at what, though? At what happened to his daughter? Then his shoulders sag and his expression grows morose. I wonder how it would feel to not hear anything about your daughter for years, and then the first thing you hear is bad news, and that she isn't safe. Judging by the look on his face, it'd be pretty painful. I was trying to help her get home safely. Then there was a fight. Then some old enemies of mine showed up at the diner that day she was abducted. I feel the weight of the 2 keys heavy in my pocket. They're Rose's hope for getting home, yet I have her key and she doesn't, nor does she have her knife. My thoughts return to the present. Mr. Sanders is furrowing his brow, concentrating on something. How to help Rose, maybe. I don't know. My mood sinks further when I remember there's more I should tell him. Her kidnappers found us because the man Rose fought at the beginning of our adventure was a friend of theirs, and he told them where we were, which resulted in us being held at gunpoint in the diner, as you know, and Rose being abducted. Mr. Sanders' eyes flash with anger. I wonder if it's towards me or the people who took his daughter. This is hella hard. That's internal monologue. This is hella hard. I put my head in my hands and take a deep breath before looking up and continuing. I guess they thought this would be motivation for me to meet their demands. I decide to leave out exactly what their demands are. It's clear that all of this is my fault, so it's not like I need to share every detail with Rose's dad. He'll probably never forgive me as it is. Mr. Sanders' face sinks further into despondency. He swallows hard and grasps his wife's hand as if for comfort. I continue. About an hour ago, we got a call at the police station where I've been helping the cops with their search efforts. The caller was Rose. She didn't give us any tips or clues as to where she's being held, but she did tell me to deliver that message to you. Sweat is running down my back as I wait for his reaction. I add, please say you can help us. Please. I need to get Rose back, and right now, this man is my biggest hope. He doesn't say a word, just stares blankly at the wall behind me. My stomach twists painfully. The suspense is making me sick. What if he doesn't help? And why do I have the feeling he hasn't been home in a long time? Why does his wife not know Why does his wife not know about him being from Amara? Why isn't he answering me? Mr. Sanders shifts his now guarded gaze back to me. I'm sorry, but I can't help you. What? All that emotion and concern he showed for his daughter, and he says no? What the hell? I must look stunned because he adds, I left that life a long time ago. Am I really hearing this? Frustration rises in me like a tidal wave. Why? Why won't he help us? I can tell he knows how to find Rose. He has to, because Rose wouldn't have sent me on a wild goose chase to find him if he didn't. Besides, he was laughing a minute ago about Rose's behavior, and then he was furious at her kidnappers, so how could he not help her now? He's her father, for God's sake. So you're just going to let your wonderful, crazy daughter, who is my friend, get killed by some lunatics when you can help her? I say, my voice rising as I try to fathom the man's decision. He shakes his head, but still manages to look me in the eye. My temper is rapidly running away from me. I jump to my feet. And why not? Because you can't face whatever happened in the past, so you've been hiding out here on Earth. Is that it? Mrs. Sanders squeaks, and Mr. Sanders' face turns sour very, very quickly. That last line struck home. His face reddens, and now he, too, is on his feet. What I do is, or don't do, is of no concern to you. It crosses my mind that this is the source of Rose's temper, her father. But I stand my ground and glare at him. If he's going to be a coward and not help my Rose, then I'm not going to back down from him. He takes a step toward me. You don't understand. My life was torn away from me, and I'm choosing not to reopen the wound. The longer Rose stays away from the portals and all of that nonsense, the better as far as I'm concerned. I have my reasons, young man, for not wanting to help you find Rose and bring her back into that mess. My reasons are my own. You don't know what's going on here, and I'm not about to tell you. So get out of my house and get out of my life, he roars, pointing at the door. David! Mrs. Sanders puts her arm around him. She murmurs something to him, but I can't hear it. Besides, I'm too angry to care. Your daughter will most likely die, do you hear me? Die, if you do not help me. I don't have the money for the ransom, and it will take weeks to search other places she could be. By then, my time will be up, and she'll be 6 feet under. How can you not care about Rose? I stalk around the room and try a new approach. Surely you remember your own daughter? You remember the way she gets distracted at the smallest things, the way she loves to win at everything, then gloat about it? Her ability to keep calm under pressure and to joke around when most people would be too scared. Hopefully you remember her contagious laughter. How can you just ignore all of that? How can you just ignore her existence? You are going to be the person that gets her killed. I'm in his face, yelling, but I take a step back, away from this cruel man who doesn't deserve to be Rose's father. You are despicable. I spit out the words like venom. Mr. Sanders is fuming with anger, and his fists are clenched at his side. You've only known my daughter a few days, while I've known her for years. Besides, I know she won't die, he grinds out. You left her a long time ago. How long have you really known her for? My anger towards him is consuming me. You have no clue what our life was like, he growls. You can't even imagine the pain she's been through. I will not be the person to inflict more. I can't believe this guy. I'd rather inflict pain and help her get better than have her dead in a ditch somewhere. I resume pacing in the small room. You don't know for sure that these men won't kill her. I may not have known her for very long, but I know that if she dies, she'll die as my friend. I will never forgive myself for getting her into this mess, and I most certainly will not stand by to see someone flat out refuse to help me get her back. Mr. Sanders' face loses some of its anger, which is replaced by surprise. You care about her that much, despite having only known her for a few days? He asks quietly, a curious expression on his face. But I'm not about to be placated or distracted. People bond through shared experiences. Rose and I both know what it's like to be singled out as a gatekeeper, and I guess both of us also know the feeling of a father's abandonment. I hope you never forgive yourself for this, I say spitefully, turn on my heel, and walk out. Slamming the door behind me, I stomp down the street. I'm through listening to that man's sorry excuses. He can't know she won't die. And what was he even talking about with that whole she needs to stay away from the portals thing? All hyphenated, she needs to stay away from the portals. She can't stay away from the portals, so she'll never get back home. She's the gatekeeper, for crying out loud. Going through portals is literally in her job description. She can't just stay away. That's impossible. He's going to be the reason she dies, I fume, and his mind is firmly made up. Yelling in frustration, I kick over a garbage can, unlucky enough to be in my way. Chapter 31, Rose's Perspective. I hit the pavement hard, landing on my left ankle. It pops and cracks nastily, and a pain shoots through my foot and up my leg. Out of habit, I immediately tuck and roll. My momentum tumbles me a few feet more. My shoulder aches from rolling on it to avoid a faceplant. But I have to ignore the pain for now. Rising unsteadily to my feet, I take off down the street, limping. Not 20 seconds later, footsteps pound behind me. Frick! I look around for help and see an approaching cab, so I hail it. Inside, I quickly slam the door shut. "Drive, because your life depends on it," I scream in the driver's ear. He apparently gets the message and slams down on the gas. "Drive so they can't follow you," I command, trying to catch my breath and look over my shoulder at the same time, and try to ignore the worsening pain in my ankle. The taxi swerves to the left. I'm thrown to the right. Grabbing the edge of the seat, I alternate between watching for the bad guys behind us and attempting to figure out the wild maneuvering of the cab driver so I'm not flung about. There's no sign of my pursuers, so I tell the cabbie he can ease off the sharp turns. Letting out a shuddering, deep breath, I settle back in the seat. Good thing there actually was a taxi to pick me up. I could never outrun Fido or his crew on foot, not with my ankle. "Why are you running away?" the driver asks as he swerves around the slower-moving traffic. He's still setting a good pace, for which I'm grateful. "More like escaping abduction than running away," I respond casually, trying to get my wits about me. "I didn't exactly want to be back there, you know, and I didn't have a choice." The driver looks at me in surprise in his rearview mirror. "Eyes on the road!" I yell, whacking the plastic barrier between the front and back seat for emphasis. Pain shoots up my arm. "Hey, calm down, young lady," he scowls at me. "So should I take you to a police station?" He sounds like he just wants to dump me on the side of the road. "Yes, the police station closest to the 7th Avenue Diner," I tell him. I glance out the back window again. A caravan of black cars is snaking behind us, probably loaded with Fido, his troops, and who knows who else. How the heck did they already catch up? I call to the cab driver. "But first you better lose those guys behind us in the black cars." The cabbie gives me a grudging glance and swerves the cab around a corner. Unfortunately, the ominous-looking black cars all make the same turn. "Drive faster! They're right behind us!" "My foot is all the way to the floor, lady! What more do you want?" He jerks the wheel around another sharp turn. "For the rear window to show me that there aren't people following us." I'm trying not to panic. "Hey, do you even have money to pay me?" "I was just abducted!" I scream. "Do you think they'd let me keep my money?" Was this guy's brain turned on when he asked me that? Of course I don't have any money. The driver slams on the brakes. It's spelled wrong. It's like, the other, like, when you drop a cup, it breaks. The driver slams on the brakes and the car jolts to a stop. I brace myself as my knees crash into the seat in front of me. "What are you doing?" I protest, my voice going up a painful octave. A stubborn taxi driver was not part of my improvised Plan B. "I'm not risking my life for you, lady. You're on your own," he says coldly. "Get out." "No, you've got to drive me," I yell, wishing I could smack him through the plastic barrier. Now I know why they put these stupid things up. "Get out!" he demands again as a black car slides to a stop on my right. Time for me to move on to Plan C. I jerk open the door on my left, weave through oncoming traffic, and try to sprint down a litter-strewn alleyway. But with the messed up ankle that the universe just had to add to my dilemma, well, anyone can tell I'm done for. Car doors open and slam shut, and horns honk behind me. The men's footsteps pound on the pavement. It sounds like all 4 of them are chasing me. I risk a quick look over my shoulder. Fido is in the lead, followed by Scarface, then Butch. The ringleader lazily jogs along. Typical. He is a follower, after all. Stretching my legs out in front of me as far as I can, I also try to pick up the pace. Is it working? A glance over my shoulder shows it's not. They're nearly upon me. I swerve toward a dumpster so I can climb on top of it and swing up to a fire escape, but... Gotcha! Fido yells. He grabs me and yanks me loose from my tentative grip on the dumpster lid. The other three jerks are just a few feet away. Beyond them, at the end of the dirty, narrow alley, I glimpse a sign for a diner and an arrow pointing down the block. I recognize that sign. It's for the 7th Avenue Diner. Suddenly, a feeling of familiarity and comfort pours through me. Could it be Matilda? I briefly close my eyes, because I can also feel a growing sense of warmth and home, the same way I felt as a child when my father was nearby. But I will have to wonder about that later. There's a more important issue at hand right now, the fact that I'm about to meet my maker. My eyes pop open and I try to assess the situation, but Fido wrenches my arm up behind my back to keep me from running, and I gasp in frustration and pain. I'll have to talk to my maker about my sprinting abilities on Earth, because he really sold me short on that useful tool. So, if I can't run, what else is there for me to do? Time for Plan D. I suck in a deep breath of air and scream for my life. Chapter 32, Ben's perspective again. I leave the Sanders' home and storm back to the diner. What felt like a long walk earlier takes me only a minute or two now. Plunking down into a booth, I rest my chin in my hand. I need to think of a new way to find Rose. I could go to my dad for help, but he wouldn't be at all happy to see me. When I last spoke to him, all we had were slamming doors, angry voices, and him telling me to never come back. A waiter with long dreads approaches me. I must look fairly awful. I haven't showered, eaten, or slept much in days. Jacobson, according to his name tag, asks sympathetically, "Girl problems?" "Girl problems. Yeah, you could say that," I reply vaguely. "I feel for you, man. Girls are complicated. Whatever it is, I hope you fix it soon." I hope so, too. "What do you want?" He poises a pen over his order pad. My brain screams, "I want Rose to be okay." But instead, I just order a coffee like any normal person. He nods and strolls off to fill my order. A few days ago, the police chief gave me a 20 to buy donuts and chips from the vending machine at the station. Donuts from a vending? I guess it's possible. I pulled the last $2 out of my pocket. Rose had all of my money, although her kidnappers probably have it now. Maybe I should just go ask my dad for money. But then again, I rub my forehead, my frustration evolving into a massive headache. No, the only thing my dad is good for is when I use him as a threat towards other people. They tend to not mess with the mayor and his son. Bad things happen to people who threaten a political figure's family. Whoa, big reveal. Ben's dad is the mayor? That's the only reason the men didn't come to collect earlier, I'm sure. Now I wish they had, because then they wouldn't have taken Rose. Just thinking of her causes my gut to twist painfully, and a giant lump forms in my throat. Not a minute later, the waiter returns and sets a mug down in front of me, pours steaming hot coffee into it, and leaves without saying a word. I slowly nurse my drink. Where could they have taken her? What did they do to her? Is she locked up somewhere? Dead? Beaten? Could she have fought them? If she tried, would she fail? Succeed? I just don't know. After a second refill of my coffee cup, someone slides into my booth. I look up and glower when I see who it is. "I'm going to help you find her," Rose's dad says gruffly. "But that doesn't mean I'm going to talk to her. She sent you to me because Amarans have internal tracking systems for each other. We know when a family member is around, so if you can get me close to her, I will be able to pinpoint her location." A smile breaks across my face. Yes, we're going to get her back. Suddenly, something Rose had told me comes to mind. Wait, I thought your powers didn't work once you went through the portals and left Amara. Our physical powers don't work, but our mental powers do. I don't know why, but that's what happens, he shrugs. Okay, well, To get her back, we need money. $15,000, I tell him. I doubt he has that much, and certainly not on him. Oh, don't worry about that. I figured we need to pay some ransom money. I just did some business with a loan shark, so I have money. I'll pay to get Rose back to you, but as I said, I won't talk to her. That was good enough for me. Come on, then. Let's go, I say excitedly and stand up. The police have a quarter-mile radius on her location, and we're in it right now. The waiter will have to be satisfied with the measly $2 I leave on the table. We won't need the police's help, he says firmly, because I can... His head suddenly whips in the direction of the door. Rose? He dashes out of the diner. I follow him down the street. Man, he can run fast for an old guy. I'm a few paces behind him when, in the block ahead of us, I see a black car screech to a stop behind a yellow cab. A young woman jumps out of the cab and runs awkwardly into what's probably an alley, but I'm too far away to see. 3 other black cars pull up behind the cab. 3 men leap out and join the guy who's exited the first black car, and they all dash into the alley after the girl. My jaw drops as what I just saw sinks in. All 4 men look disturbingly familiar, and so does the girl. Mr. Sanders picks up speed, and I'm right on his heels. Then I hear a short, blood-curdling scream. Rose! Alright, I gotta pee. I think I've probably got the voice to do, like, 2 more chapters. My throat's been super dry. I was talking to Ryan about this. I don't know if it's something about the bedroom or what, but I've been waking up in the middle of the night. Even drier throat than usual. I'm starting to feel my voice burn out towards the end of regular stream today. But the next chapter is super duper short. Yeah, it could be allergies. Ryan suggested allergies. Although I find that difficult to believe because I don't want to believe it because I'm not the type of person who gets allergies. I've never had them before that I'm aware of anyway. Be right back. Oh boy. BB. Come here, bud. He's still like adjusting back from being terrified by Ryan. He's out of his little hidey hole, which is nice. And, you know, he had dinner. And now he's just sitting right there at the threshold. Like I think Nada used to do. Gatekeeper. Bedroom gatekeeper. Okay, I think we can do 2 more chapters. I can't believe it's still light out. Today is stretched out in such a weird way. How does this chapter... Yeah, 2 more chapters. It seems like there's a good end spot. Two chapters from now. So that's where we'll stop. And then I'll probably go eat, what am I? Hopefully not just pizza rolls and Caesar salad, that dressing. That feels so trashy. Chapter 33, Rose's Perspective. My scream cuts through the stale summer air as I continue to struggle. Butch, or Scarface, I can't tell which, claps his hand over my mouth, effectively cutting off my yell for help. But too bad for them, because my scream has apparently already done its job. Out of the corner of my eye, I see someone at the diner end of the alley run toward us. Help is on the way! I struggle to break loose from Fido's grip, but his muscles work well for him. I kick one of the other guys who's trying to help Fido hold me, and I bite the hand over my mouth that's all but suffocating me. What the hell? The owner of the hand, Butch, bellows and lurches away to examine it. Good. I hope it's bleeding. Help! I yell again. My shoulder is screaming in pain, and I can't feel my ankle anymore. But all my struggling does nothing. Fido has too much weight and height on me, and they drag me toward their cars, which means we'll run smack dab into the guy who's coming to help me. Ha ha! Thank you, universe. I continue to struggle to distract Fido's group from my approaching savior. I glance in that direction and see a second guy right behind him. My knees nearly collapse with relief. Let go of her, the first man yells. At the sound of his voice, memories from my childhood flood through me. A youthful-looking man teaching me how to shoot a bow and arrow, and then the same man teaching me how to swim, how to whittle with a knife, telling me that I should never join in a fight I can't win, and that words work better than fists. They've seen the 2 men running toward us and obviously can't agree on what to do with me. And the ringleader shouts an order, but I don't really hear it. While Fido and his group continue to pull on me, and my vision blurs with tears, I stare at my father. It really is him. He's not dead. 8 years, and he's still alive. And he's just feet away, his chest heaving with exertion from sprinting. All my cares and pains fall away. All I can think of is him, my dad. How did he find me? I mean, I thought Matilda's husband might be him, but it was just a long shot, like some random hope I was reaching for and trying to grasp, but I didn't actually believe it. The ringleader's voice barking at my father draws my attention. Don't come any closer unless you have our money. My father, sweating and looking angrier than I've ever seen him, pulls a big wad of cash out of his pocket. And just how did my dad get rich enough to do that? Hey. You don't need to go in there? That's not a kiddie room. He was slinking into the bathroom. I guess I don't really care if he's in there, but for now I've just been like, no, don't go in the bathroom. How did he get rich enough to do that? But instead of approaching Mr. Follower with the money like I expect him to do, my father hands the cash to the second man who ran up the alley and is now standing at his side. Ben. I can feel Fido straining toward that huge bundle of cash. He draws me tightly to his side, although his eyes never leave the cash. The roll has to be bigger around than my fist. Around the edges of my confusion, anger seeps in and takes hold. Who the hell is my father to have me thinking he's been dead all these years? Ben steps forward. Here's all your damned money. And it's spelled 2 M's. Here's all your damned money. He shoves it into Mr. Follower's chest. Now give her back to me. He takes a menacing step toward Fido and me. Fido looks back and forth between the bundle of bills and Ben. The ringleader nods once as he stuffs the roll of bills in a pocket. Fido pushes me away from him, and they all 4 dash back to their cars. My father and Ben don't try to stop them, just let them pass. And almost before I can take another breath, it seems, they're in their cars and gunning the engines as they take off. Well, shoot, I'm free. My father's standing a few feet away from me. It isn't a hallucination. And when I realize Ben's wrapping his arms around me, I sob. You've found my father, I say, turning into his embrace. Sirens scream in the distance. The police are late to everything. Typical humans. Ben strokes my hair. I did find him, but you led me to him, Rose. It was you who found him. You're okay now. I promise nothing like this will happen again, he adds. I want to fling myself at my father, but something holds me back in Ben's arms. Besides, I'm too angry at my dad, and I'm too overwhelmed with emotions to deal with anything, let alone confronting the father I loved about why he abandoned us and let us think he was dead. Realizing that Ben is still holding me, and what we must look like, I attempt to cover my embarrassment. I feel like I've been shot, I joke weakly and try to step back, but the adrenaline has already left my body. Pain shoots up my leg and I nearly fall. Ben shakes his head and picks me up, bridal style. You can tell me later the story of how you got hurt, and I'm sure it'll be an interesting one. He's careful of my shoulder, and I don't complain about being carried. I am too tired. I put my head against his chest and close my eyes to drift into the welcoming arms of unconsciousness. I ignore my father. Chapter 34, Still Rose's Perspective. I wake up, and for a second I think I'm still a captive in that horrible, smelly closet. Naturally, I panic. When do you think she'll wake up? Ben's worried voice reaches me from a distance, and I open my eyes. I'm definitely not in that closet anymore. More like a bedroom. A guest bedroom, I'd say. Ben must be out in the hallway. She'll wake up soon enough. She needs lots of rest, though, so let her be, Matilda replies to him. The old warm feeling floods me, telling me I am near a family member, so this must be my father's house. Ben must have brought me here. I'm safe, and I'm starving. I gingerly get up and throw on some clothes. My ankle throbs, but I put my boots on for the extra support. It works enough that I can hobble through the open door and down a staircase, even though I wince with every step. Following my nose to the kitchen, I almost trip in my rush to get to the cinnamony-smelling rolls on the counter across the room. Just as I'm about to grab one, the plate is snatched away. Ben holds it above his head and grins like a crazy man. Matilda chuckles and quietly leaves the room. Give it back, I yell, trying to jump on one foot and grab the plate. If I wasn't crippled, I threaten half-heartedly. How long can one person sleep? I thought you were dead, he says with a wicked gleam in his eyes, watching me jump. Please, I'm starving. I'm not against hurting you for cinnamon rolls, I laughingly warn him, and he finally sets the plate down. I happily stuff my face with the sweet pastry that's almost as good as what Neva makes on Alethea. By the way, I have something of yours, he says sheepishly, and sets a familiar object on the counter. Here's your knife. I'm really sorry I took it. I quickly lick my fingers and pick up my knife. Oh, how I missed you, I smile and hug it to my chest tightly. I'm never letting you out of my sight again. Ben watches me as I tuck it back in my boot where it belongs. I straighten and put my hands on my hips. So, Why in the world did you not give it back to me at the diner when I asked for it? And actually, why didn't you help me at all during that whole fiasco? Ben looks at the ground. I wasn't thinking. I froze. I'm sorry. It'll never happen again, I swear. His face turns red, and he shoves his hands deep in his pockets. Oh. My anger dissipates. It's okay. I wave it off with my hand and smile to lighten the mood. It all turned out fine in the end, right? Yeah, but I'm sorry. He's still not meeting my eye, so I put my hand under his chin and lift it so he's forced to look at me. I lived. End of story, I say in a reassuring tone. Time to move on. I take my hand away from his face, and he smiles sheepishly at me. Oh, and your key. He pulls it out of his pocket. I grab it. It's bent and broken, but at least I have it. Now it's time to deal with a bigger problem. My father. I walk into the hallway to peek into the living room. Matilda isn't here. Did she leave the house? Because aside from me and Ben, it feels empty here, and very quiet. There's no sign of my father anywhere. Line of asterisks. I've been at my father and Matilda's house for 24 hours, but I still haven't seen my father. The only people I talk to are Matilda and Ben, who never leaves my side. We haven't managed to come up with anything to help me get home, so our plan now is to catch up to my father. Oh my gosh, wait. Oh, no, that's all right. So our plan now is to catch up to my father and see if he knows anything about the portals breaking down. I'm getting even more attached to Ben than I know I should. I've filled him in on everything, like how my father supposedly died and how my mother ran away. I've told him all about life on Amara, about my cottage in the woods, and about my two best friends, Sylvia and Phoenix. My ankle and shoulder are healing quickly. Matilda checked on my foot shortly after I woke up on the first day. She was training to be a nurse years ago, but she had to drop out of college because she didn't have enough money to continue. Fortunately, my ankle wasn't broken, but badly sprained. She wrapped it in something and told me to use it as little as possible and to keep ice on it for 15 minutes every hour. As for my shoulder, that was just badly bruised and also needed to be iced and rested. On Amara, we would have done pretty much the same thing. Ice and rest. I worry that I should be working on a plan to get home, but I secretly allow myself to think that staying here forever wouldn't be too bad either. I mean, there's Ben, of course, and I could get used to Matilda doting on me. And I know I'll eventually talk to my father. At least, I think I will. Staying on Earth with my family for a little while longer couldn't be considered selfish, could it? But then I remember the battle with Lexi on Amara. My resolve stiffens. The next time I see my father, I'll ask him if he knows anything about the battle. I have a lot to ask him. A lot. Line of asterisks again. When I wake up the next morning, I hear his voice downstairs. It's time for our little father-daughter chat, especially about his so-called death. I limp down the stairs. He must hear me coming, and I'm relieved he doesn't leave the house. When I reach the living room, I lean against the wall, arms crossed, and let all my anger surface. What exactly were you thinking? I demand spitefully. My father sighs. What are you talking about? I straighten. What the hell do you think I'm talking about? Don't you remember the day you left me? My sister? My mother? You left us all to think you were dead. No letter, no contact, and you never came home. Or did you forget? Now you know how much hurt you caused. Mom left after that. Then Elizabeth left, all because your quote-unquote death that caused Mom to go insane and leave because she couldn't deal with it. His face hardens, and he, too, crosses his arms. I did what I had to in order to protect you. Protect me from what? I demand. I do not need protecting as if I'm some precious doll. I can't tell you. Remorse replaces the hard look on his face, and his fists clench tightly. He stares at me, and the expression in his eyes is softer, but I'm not falling for that. That's a load of bull! I shriek in frustration. Who cares if the rest of the family is still asleep upstairs? You can't tell me why you left and stayed away? Oh, that's rich. I can assure you there's nothing you protected me from by leading me to believe you were dead. Now I clench my fists. You're simply a coward, running from something. You're spineless and weak and have the whitest heart of anyone I've ever met. My father's eyes flash angrily as he takes a step toward me. You couldn't even begin to imagine the evil I'm trying to protect you from. It would serve you best not to disrespect me like you are right now. I am still your father. I force my voice to go flat. My father's dead. You have no power over me. He stops short. 100 emotions cross his face. Hurt, anger, grief, regret. But I toughen my heart against him. I don't owe you anything. You lost all my respect the moment you came back to life, I tell him, and I stalk toward him. You have no place, not a single centimeter of space, to be telling me how to act. He takes a step back, putting more space between us. You have to believe me. I did what I had to do to protect you, Rose, he says firmly and without much anger. There's much more going on than you know. I couldn't come home because that would bring your fate closer, and you weren't ready yet. You're still not. I fume. How dare he presume to know anything about me? Ready for what? I'm one of the best warriors Amara has ever seen. I'm a member of Gold Squad, and I can be... Sorry. I'm a member of Gold... Oof. Okay. I'm a member of Gold Squad, and I can beat any enemy. I am untouchable. I pause between each word for emphasis. I own a key to all the worlds. No normal bounds hold me back. I'm ready for anything. Unlike you, I am not afraid. His face becomes grave. If I tell you, you will die, Rose. He's not lying. The wind goes out of my sails, and I lose my aggressive stance. If he were lying, an alarm would go off in my head. That's how it is between family members. And there's no alarm. But I'm not letting him off that easily. How can you know that? His brow furrows. I wish I could somehow tell you without speeding up the process, but I can't. You have to trust me. How am I supposed to trust a man who let me think he was dead? Surely he can't expect me to do that. Yet even as I speak against him, I wonder, should I trust him? He reaches out to me, but I ignore it. Your mother disappeared 1 month after I left, did she not? I take a step back. How do you know that? And what does her disappearance have to do with me Oh, that's not dialogue. And what does her disappearance have to do with me trusting him? Like me, she did that to protect you. I made her another key. Should she ever need a spare. So there should actually be 2 keys right now. One you have, as the gatekeeper, and one she has. My mother has a key, and not only did she run away from Alethea, but she left Amara altogether? Why? My father responds, answering my unasked question. She needed to fight off your fate. What in the world is he talking about now? I stamp my foot. What are you going on about? My mother went insane and left. She abandoned me. Rose, when you get home, and I know you will soon, go to our old house. Retrieve the trunk from the back of the closet, but promise me you'll only open it when you have the dreams. Everything you will need to know is in the trunk. That's all I can tell you right now. Anything more would be too much of a risk. He isn't lying because, again, there's no alarm in my head. Nothing. But how can he not be lying? He can't be telling the truth. But he is. Rose, he asks gently. Okay. My shoulders sag in defeat. I'll do it. And I even know what trunk you're talking about, but I wish you could tell me about these dreams I'm going to have, though. He shakes his head, and I know he won't change his mind. He approaches me slowly and lightly touches my shoulder. Do you forgive me? His face is sincere and concerned. I did what I had to do. I stare into his eyes. He still isn't lying. What should I do? I thought he was dead for so long. Then he wasn't dead, and now apparently he was fake dead in order to protect me from something. All the answers I need are in the trunk in my old house, but I can't look at them now because I can't get home. And I have to wait for some dreams to come? Frick, what a mess. But he's right. I need to forgive him and to trust him, and I need to get the heck back to Amara and figure out what he's talking about. And in order to return home, I need his help. I nod and give him a brief hug. I forgive you, but you have to tell me what's going on. He frowns as he releases me. I can't tell you any more than I already have. Wait for the dreams to start, then open the trunk. That's all I can let you know. I narrow my gaze and try to put myself in his position. He must have faked his death for a really good reason. He wouldn't have simply run away, because if that were the case, he wouldn't have helped me escape from Jason and his gang. And besides, I would know if he were lying. So what is he so scared of? What lies in my future that drove both my parents away? And why can't he tell me? I've already forgiven him, so now it all boils down to whether or not I can trust him. I study his face. It's the same face, although older, that I loved so fiercely when I was young. And he loved me back. Maybe that hasn't changed. Okay, Dad. I'll trust you, I say, while taking a mock threatening step closer to him. But if it turns out I shouldn't have, you bet I will be back, and it won't be pretty. He closes his eyes briefly, then opens them. Bitch, that's called a blink. I understand, and I expect no less from you, he says soberly, without another word. He leaves the room and walks out of the house. Suddenly exhausted, I collapse on the couch. There's a lot I need to think about. End of chapter. And we've actually got a very thin parcel. Oh, there's an epilogue. We should be able to finish this next week. I'm really curious what's going to happen. We're about to hit a Phoenix chapter, then a Rose chapter, and then a Phoenix chapter. Very, very short one. We're almost at the end of the book, and like almost nothing has happened with the whole Phoenix Sylvia shit. And I'm wondering if it needed to be in the fucking book at all. I don't remember what happens with that, but I don't think they do anything important, like, at all to, like, further the plot. I'm also realizing how often there's, like, this, like, extremely... It's like Chekhov's gun, so, like, the whole, like, detecting if you've got a family member nearby. There was some other bit where it's, like, they establish very early and keep repeating that a certain thing is true, and then that thing comes up, but, like, it's such an incredibly unimportant detail. Like, the whole, like, we need to check if the portals are working, and then there was, like, 2 different fucking chapters about just that, figuring out if the portals are working correctly, just for them to be like, and they weren't working correctly, and it's like, why are you even talking about this? Like, what? It's like Chekhov's gun, except instead of, firing the gun in the 3rd act, someone, like, trips on it, or, like, God, it's like, you show a gun in the 1st act, and then have someone, like, pick up the gun in the 3rd act. Like, it's so completely unimportant. It's a very weird. But, you know what do you expect? It's a novel written by, like, a 19-year-old girl. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here. I will be back tomorrow night, so I guess I would be in about, 22 hours for more Minecraft Monday. And you guys can come watch me strip mine Certus quartz for microchips. Won't that be fun? Yeah, it will. It will. It'll be fun. See you then.
that's the end of the show. All of us have got to go back on home. I hope you had a lot of fun. We'll catch you at the next one, or whenever we do at